Hello and welcome to Heroes of the Horn, a Wheel of Time podcast. I am Sir Matt.
And I am Sir Ezra, friends, and we are back with episode 6. Let's go.
What? How do I describe this as? Give me, you give me your 3-word review, and I'll give you my 3-word review.
I'm sorry, I can't do it in 3. I can do it in 4.
I need 3.
Though,
I've
okay?
got 3.
Hey,
for
I
you.
got 4 for you, okay? She comes, right?
Wow.
The awesome, baby.
I was going to say on your knees, but I suppose
we're on the same page.
No, my God, what did we just watch? Wow. Talk about a crazy episode. We are off the rails. We are off book. And we are just winging it here. It feels like I'm sure this will be the most divisive episode of Wheel of Time. The book people are going to be like, literally, what is even going on anymore?
But you know what? I thought this was one of the coolest episodes I've seen so far. It's not my favorite, but it's probably my second favorite because of the backstory and the context. I never, in the first several books, the first 3, I would say, felt the seriousness that goes on in inter-Aja politics in the White Tower. Like, I mean, it was such a heavy feel. It was awesome. I mean, they really drove that home. I felt like there was real consequences, air quote, real consequences for Leandrin, for anyone who were to cross the Amerlin seat, break their laws, all that stuff. It was huge. Don't forget, by the way, I got before I forget, Logain happened in the beginning of this whole thing. Like, it's like there's jam-packed.
Okay,
man.
just quick summary, and then we're gonna have to start breaking this down because this might be a 2-hour podcast here, just because there's so much to talk about. And friends, remember, you can watch this live with us. We hang out on YouTube, so be sure to come check that out. Everyone's saying easily the best episode yet. I will say that the episodes just get better and better. It is important to remember this. I believe they filmed 1 through 6 before the sort of they got shut down. So who knows? Exactly. This was a huge episode, by the way. I mean, huge episode. I mean, it was an hour long, and because some episodes were like 54 minutes, stuff like that. So we did get some extra time. But I mean, this was a jam-packed episode. I mean, it's like there's a lot of scenes in here. And wow, oh my God. Remember, real quick, that they've done these in batches. So it was like 2, 2, 2, 2. So it's like the first 2 episodes are written, like they're directed by like the same people. So this and the previous episode. So whatever we're getting in is the tone of the next 2 episodes of episode next week's will be sort of the same thing. So it seems like it's going to be action packed. And here we go. So we started off and we're getting backstory on Suwan, which is cool. Immediately give us some backstory on her channeling her dad. Just, God, you sort of feel bad. Seeing that. We got to see Tyr just, briefly. You can just sort of see the stone off in the distance. That was definitely cool. And then we got then the rest of the episode pretty much takes place in the White Tower and in Tar-Valon. Right? Or Tar-Valon, as they sometimes call it in the show. Logain is brought forward. And that's kind of intense, right? We see Suwan sit down, and Logain is brought before the Amerlin seat, and he basically sort of tells her off.
He does. Yeah. Took one of you down. What will the world remember? Right?
Yes.
They're not going to remember all this stuff that goes on here in the tower. They'll remember that one man stood and fought back and proclaimed himself Dragon Reborn and took one of your sisters down. Like, it was an intense moment because as we had comments in here earlier, his crime, Matt, is being born with the ability to channel. So,
hold on. In the comments here. Dragon down. Why did her dad send her off by herself? R.M. Varnji, because he couldn't give her a hand. Wow. This is
Come
why
on,
you guys
guys.
gotta
Come on. Get in the
come.
live chat. What the
This
heck?
is why you guys gotta come hang out.
Jeez.
Oh,
But hey,
I love it. I love
the,
it. No, Tom isn't out. Don't worry. Tom will be back. Tom
right.
will be back. Hey, so wow, yes, the Logain stuff was cool. Then Logain was begging her to kill him, right? Which is definitely interesting. We're ahead. A lot of stuff that happens in this episode is sort of plot stuff that happens in like books 2 and 3 brought forward. So we are like character development. We're a little fast paced. The main plot, we're on pace with book 1. Like we're right where we should be. Going into episode 7, which is whatever 80 some percent. As we get through, but like some of the stuff, obviously the stuff with Logain, we're going to talk about Matt getting healed. That doesn't happen until Great Hunt. So we are ahead a little bit in some areas, which is good because that's time you save later on. Try to make this squeeze all get together. So then I would say then we sort of get to this little back and forth, some stuff going on with Leandrin kind of talking to Moiraine. There's like, some, hey, he said, she said, back and forth. Feels a little high schooly, like I know dirt on you. I know dirt on you. We're brought before then Moiraine is there talking to the Armelin seat. Leandrin's there. They have to answer for the crimes, and they all agree that they had to gentle Logain.
Yeah. That it was necessary. I mean, and the thing too, Matt, this is where I kind of like what they've done. They put us in a pickle here, where in which we saw what Logain did. He actually almost killed Lan, and it took Nynaeve saving them. And then boom, that was sort of Leandrin could step in and say, yeah, I had to take him down. I mean, I think most of the audience would almost kind of say at that point, she might have had the right to do so. Air quote, right. I mean, because he was a dangerous man.
Agreed.
But
that scene's also kind of interesting because we see Leandrin sort of question openly Siuan. And you can see we've been talking about the politics and the power shift inside of the White Tower and how that the Reds are gaining more and more power. Later, there's a Blue whose name I don't remember is talking to Moiraine. When they're in that bathhouse, and she says, like, wow, like a yellow just openly backed a red. What's going on here?
Yeah. Megan, I think is her name. Yeah. Sandy McDade played her. This is cool. I love Amazon. It shows you characters and their names. That was really cool. And like the fact that it's almost like each odd is wanting to push forward their own agenda, and it felt like the Reds come out on top here, even and the Greens actually lose a powerful channeler. So yeah, man, that was tough. Oh, the one thing I wanted to mention, Logain says something really important, that the further the Aes Sedai are away from the tower, the weaker they are. Their influence and power does not spread nearly as far as they think it does. And so that was really important. And I think that's something that we'll probably see around the White Tower, sure. But why are White Cloaks able to capture them? That's been a big question, far out in different reaches of the world, because they're not as powerful, but their influence, the sway, all of it, weaker politically.
Yeah. And so we'll just finish up with the Leandrin sort of politics here, because there was something interesting, and there's some people questioning it here in the chat. So there's a scene where Leandrin comes back to talk to Moiraine, like, oh, I know some of your White Tower or some of your Emmons Field people, some of your Two Rivers folk are here. And Moiraine walks right up to her and says, I know about a man that you're sort of keeping secret. And if you want me to tell anyone about him, you'd better back off. And it's a really cool scene. Now, some people are beginning to say, is that, are they referring to the guy that she gentles at the very opening scene? Comment here. I think that was I think from Justin, I think it was the scene at the beginning of episode 1 where she gentled that guy out in the woods, and they pan out to Moiraine and Lan watching over the scene. However, other people in the chat are wondering, and this is actually where I went, Leandrin having a male lover potentially.
Yeah, that's where I was at. I was thinking that there's
but it could be that guy, and then it could be, sorry, I didn't cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, no, just I think, didn't she say to Nynaeve at one point that they like, so you hate men kind of thing, when she and Nynaeve are talking? Right. It's not really answered, and then so this kind of shows us that maybe they're supposed to or not. They have a contentious relationship, but
dark friend contact could be as well. Definitely interesting, definitely cool. And then remember, Leandrin is one of the ones when we get to the big deal, which is Moiraine getting exiled. As she's walking out, she's sort of still staring at her. So that was kind of interesting. One more thing with just them before we move into everything else. In some of the politics going on, the other blue that's in the bathhouse, whose name Megan, you said, Megan, you said. She talks about when she's trying to convince Moiraine, I think we need you at the White Tower. She's like, I need to go out because there's ships like disappearing in the west, which is a really cool nod to a huge faction that will be coming, which is the Shan-Chan. And they're pretty much going to be like a big thorn in the side. Wars will be fought. It's going to be a big deal. Definitely going forward. So keep that in mind. And actually, we did a episode, by the way, a video on the YouTube channel you can check out, which is Factions Explained, whereas I went through and explained a lot of the big factions, just sort of a intro to who these people are. And the Shan-Chan is definitely one of them. And that's ultimately, I'm sure, what they're referring to. And they will be such a big deal going forward. So going back a little bit, with Moiraine, I think before we get to the Siuan stuff, let's talk a little bit about Moiraine has Perrin and Egwene found. And she says to them, oh, when Rand and the others get here, I'll know. Right. Well, we already know that Rand and Matt are there because, one, she's met Nynaeve and Loyal and all this stuff. And then the other is that she goes and we think cures Matt of his dagger poisoning, which was a super cool scene.
Yeah, that was really cool. I liked how she did take on the darkness there, and it was almost like it was trying to get inside of her as well, and she resisted it, was able to move it off of herself. So she took it on herself first, moved it off of herself over to the dagger, and then thus, kind of separated her, him from the darkness. And the other bit there that you're mentioning is the truth that an Aes Sedai tells you is not necessarily the truth that you think it is. So she was holding back. She did know, right, that they both were in town. She wanted to keep them waiting in their separate rooms until she figured out what to do, until she had her midnight meeting with Siuan. So that's, kind of, I think why she was doing that. And it just showed us that the Aes Sedai do that. They're a little bit, they have their own agenda, their own game that they're playing. And there's a lot of wordplay. You have to pay attention to what is said. We'll get to that with the Oath Rod later on.
Right? She says she has eyes and ears. Yes, that is correct. But I guess what I'm questioning is, why did she want to keep them separate? Because she could say, yes, they're here, I know where they're at. But she, I think, wanted to see what was going on here, right? She definitely seemed to want to see what was going on. And then when Egwene tells her about what happened with Perrin and the yellow eyes, it's like, oh my God, like, right. Like, oh my God, like, what's happening here?
Right. And she says, tell no one. Exactly. She's trying to gather information from them separately, figure out what happened. Something happened with Matt, something happened with Perrin, and, and then gather all that information, take it to Siuan. Yeah. So
cool. Yeah. And, interesting thing here, talking about lies, people in the chat talking about lies. Moiraine says, I cannot tell you what I've been doing. when she's questioned, which is ultimately why she's going to be punished. Now, Leandrin's also supposed to be punished for what went down with Logain. We don't see her punishment, so we don't know what happens, but we'll get to Moiraine's, which will be being exiled, which she specifically asked for. But I do think it's interesting that they didn't cause anybody to sort of question you, like, why, because she does say like cannot or will not, right, type of a thing, and it's why can't you, especially if I said I aren't supposed to lie, why are you not able to say? Now, of course, we know as book readers that there is obviously a deeper sort of connection between Moiraine and Suan, which was probably a curveball for a lot of people. Like a lot of people here, it's in New Spring, and that was didn't expect that to necessarily. I mean, kind of happen a little bit, but I didn't expect it to
be full
happen
blown.
The full. Well, yeah, there's some
right
full blowing going on there.
I didn't know punishment was being dealt out that quickly. So yeah, here's the thing too. Like it was, she can't tell, and so when you go back to a New Spring content material and you think about the mention of Guitarra, and her foretelling was kind of cool. So she and Suan were there for that. I mean, there might have been, like sworn to secrecy or something. There's more going on to this whole finding the Dragon Reborn. There's things that maybe she's even been. She and Suan have this plan that not even the Blue Ajin know about. It is literally just those two. And by the way, for anyone who is a show watcher only and notice that they said, they might be stilled, it's the same thing as what happens to Logain. Like Logain was gentled, but they might be stilled, meaning severed from the power if they're found out here. So that's definitely not a good thing, and pretty daggone serious. Like exiling is pretty serious, but to still someone is another level. So yeah.
Yes. I'm actually going to get the New Spring graphic novel pulled up here just so I can show a few images from it. So one sort of second on that. Plus, I'm using a website that's probably going to give me the access to view it, as well as like 8 viruses. So, things we do for it. But go ahead. Yes.
Well, yeah. As you pull that up, I'm going to go through some comments here. Folks are loving that Moiraine swore to Suan and not necessarily the Amerlin. So the Amerlin can change. So copy to pasty in here mentioning that we were swearing to Suan. I love the little finger touch, between those two in the episode. Pretty cool. So yeah.
Yeah. So here's some of the New Spring graphic novel. And this is the woman they're talking about. She has this vision. This is about 20 years before, well, it's actually even further back than that. But ultimately she sort of has this vision here, and it's seeing the Dragon Reborn, essentially. And then this is what's going to cause them. Yes, the tower looks dumb. The tower looks dumb in the graphic novel. Yeah, the graphic novel is kind of weird, man. I can't show all of it because man, you go to
we get flagged.
You get about issue 5.
Yeah.
You think that episode was racy. Wow, just wait till you get to that. But that's who it is. Guitarra is who they're talking about. She has this vision of the dragon being reborn, and this is ultimately what's going to set Moiraine and Suan down this path.
Yeah, and so Dragon Down here mentioned that the Amerlin at the time told them not to tell anyone, right? So when she says I can't, there's that, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, absolutely. So okay, so now we know the little doorway that she was using. They didn't specifically say it in this, but obviously one of the big parts of the Wheel of Time is the dream world, which is known as Teleron Riyadh. Do you think that's what that was? A gateway to Teleron Riyadh? Do you think they were meeting in the dream world? Because so much in the books, they all meet in the dream world and they're all hanging out and doing stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, because they were physical and intimate. That's what I was thinking. Like, you don't typically go there. I mean,
you
can go there in the flesh. If they did that, I mean, that's
such a risk.
It's such a risk, and it's supposedly not a good thing to do. The wise ones really. Oh, Dream Shard is my guess. Okay, yeah, that would be cool. So to me, I thought someone mentioned what during the episode, was it traveling? Is this some, special tier on Grial that they could travel to, or is it specially designed? Yeah, I don't know. So the room was bigger on the inside than on the outside. Yeah.
Yes. Great. Yeah.
Oh,
Doctor Who reference.
wow.
Bigger on the inside.
Mhm.
Okay. So now let's shift gears a little bit. Moiraine gets exiled when she's talking to Siuan. She has to use the Oath Rod, which does, I guess, ultimately work in her favor. We get to see that Moiraine and Siuan are working together to find out who the dragon is. Moiraine still does not know who the dragon is. Could still be any of them. Now, the episode description for the next episode says it's supposed to be revealed ultimately who it is. I would really be curious for first time show watchers to think who they think is the Dragon Reborn now, because man, I think they're just pulling us each episode to try and be like, okay, it's because I think now people will be like, oh, it's Matt.
Yeah. Well, no, okay, exactly. But also in this episode, yes, you might think that it's Matt. He's staying behind. They did something really interesting where they said that the dragon's soul might be split 5 ways. Might need all 5, right? Or
you
all
do
4.
Ultimately, anyway.
I mean, you do, but like, did you hear that was a line in this when she was talking to Siuan? They were talking about, we don't know. The prophecies are different. What we've heard is 3,000 years old. We don't really know exactly. It could have maybe some has been lost.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sauce Man here says parent parent as well. It could, I actually would sort of be okay if they do go down the route of it has to be all 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, as long as Rand's arc is still the same,
yeah. It's
then I think it's fine if the dragon is all of them. Like I'm fine with that personally.
Look at the dragon split into 5 Horcruxes. Basically. Yeah, I mean that was mentioned, and so they're putting forward multiple ideas and ways in which the dragon can be male, female, split up. It's one of you. The other 4 might be killed if they get between the dragon and the dark one. All of that stuff is there. So
yeah. Now, so we see Moiraine go. They meet up with Rand. I mean, you get to see him, everything that's going on. Rand talks to her after the fact, after she pulls the darkness out of Matt, which is literally, I mean, I feel like I'm watching Bilbo in Lord of the Rings when he tries to get the ring back from Frodo. Yeah,
right,
like jumping out, like,
Right.
And then she's like, "Oh, you stupid boy! Like, how stupid could you be? You got the dagger from Shadar Logoth."
Mm-hmm.
Then Lan puts a blanket over, and we don't see the dagger after that.
Right. Daggergate. Hashtag it. Where's it at? Did he go back? Is that why he stayed? Did he feel some pull towards it? Did he just not want to go? He's been thinking, they've been hinting at him not wanting to go the whole time. His sisters, the little girl with the Brigida doll said, "Oh, so your sisters are home with your parents?" And he's like, "They're home safe." And then she says, "With your parents?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, are they safe?" Right? I mean, so they've been hinting this whole time that he wants to go back, and he's the one who really doesn't want to go on. Plus, he seems to be the most afflicted of all of them. Like, having this dagger situation is very afflicting and might cause him to say, "Yeah, I don't want to go forward with this, anymore." Or she does say, if he touches it again, we might not be able to get him back. Right?
Yeah, agreed. So I mean, we'll just speed forward a little bit here. So we see Nynaeve and Egwene talk to Siuan. That's sort of your introduction. We know they're going to become Aes Sedai. And then I'd say, man, we just kind of go to the end here and then we can kind of just talk about everything in general. We're going to go through the ways. Moiraine says she doesn't know who the dragon is. We know that she had said previously, if we take all of them to the Eye of the World, which Siuan had suggested, that the others that's not the dragon could die. And then they go through the ways, and Matt does not go with them.
Yeah. Why?
Yes. By the way, thank you for everyone who is watching. We have just smashed our previous Everybody All at Once live record. Super appreciate that. If you guys could hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, we'd appreciate that too. But thank you everyone who's here. What did you guys think? Let us know. Everybody's dropping comments, but what are your thoughts now about Matt not going into the ways, and like, where are we going forward? Somebody had a comment real quick here earlier, and I had it up on the screen about what right here. Great comment. Let me see if I can grab it again. What if Padan Fane catches up with Matt, and then that's how you bring him forward?
Well, yeah, I saw that. It was also the idea that maybe if Fane does have the dagger, Matt turns into almost that he can remember how in the Great Hunt he's chasing like chasing Fane because he can feel and sense the dagger. It's almost like a sniffer like ability. He can feel it, and maybe Padan Fane is going to go to Faldara or knows where they're going, or he travels the ways himself, right? And Matt follows later or something. It's possible. There's something up though with the dagger. The dagger will be involved, and Padan Fane will be involved. We know that for a fact. It's just how did he get it, and where are we going to go? I don't know, man. The only way I can think that you get to Faldara as quickly, because Matt, let me ask you this question. Is Matt going to be there at the Eye of the World? I think so. I think just the way he gets there is going to be very different, and it's going to include Padan Fane. I know there was some mention that, well, Barney Harris is out, and he didn't come back to film this next batch after the closure.
Well, somebody just left us a really good comment saying that the last shot was out of camera, and I'm actually going to pull the episode back up here really quickly, just because I want to see that shot to see if it does look like it could be CG'd, and then they filmed them again, perhaps changing, because they could have been like screaming, hey, like screaming that it's closing behind them. So I will take a look at that really quickly. But I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard to know exactly what's going on, because remember, they filmed the first 6 episodes before they got shut down with COVID. I think that was like summer-ish of 2020. So this is like coming out. This is sort of coming out of like everyone getting laid off work and like the big shutdown. Sure. And then they were still able to sort of film a little bit, and then we don't know what happened. I mean,
it does kind of look like that. I pulled it up myself and was just
looking at
letting
it
play. And actually his reaction, it comes twice. Like it looks like he does the same facial expression and things like that. So I'm not going to discount it.
I will say comment here from Blazin. The show is a joke destroying the source material. Like, again, this is one of those things where I don't agree. I like it, but I will give credit to people who are like super book people that are on this, just because it's like, man, this is beginning to feel like a big departure. Like, so I'm really curious to see how it goes going forward, because I think for some people they are in that camp, and other people, even us, we're like, man, what's going on? And so it is a bold strategy that Amazon and Rafe they decided to go with here in this season 1. It is not going at like we expected. I mean, again, I'm loving it so far, but I never want to discredit people who don't like it.
Let me tell you one quick thing too. The benefit that we get here is we get to see things that I think were there in the spirit of the books that we didn't see on page, like Suan and her father. Now we understand all of the fish references and those things. We understood some of Moiraine and her relationship with Suan. Now we got to see that. We didn't really get to see that. You know what I mean? It was hinted at, and there was a history and a past there. Then there's the New Spring book. Now we just went ahead and said, yeah, this is actually what we were implying the whole time. Let's just go ahead and show it. So I think the show has the opportunity to show us extra bits more and expand it. Now, I know some things are being changed quite a bit, but again, it's bringing in a lot of people who haven't read the books, and they love the freaking show. The show's awesome.
You know what, though? I am watching this Matt scene again.
Yeah. It could be a reshoot.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty sure it is. If you go back and watch it, the frames are the same frames.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is interesting.
That
Yeah.
is interesting. If you look at the frames, it's like
Right.
he kind of looks like one way, and then they do it again and
Right.
again.
People also need to remember too, regardless of what happened. I mean, I know everyone wishes him well and
I'm
wishes all the
still
cast and
so
crew well, and I do
I'm
wish them well. But Matt, here's the thing too: they faced a pandemic, they faced some pretty crazy stuff in trying to get this off the ground and give us a really good show. So far, I am beyond pleased and happy with it. I'm excited. Like I know what happens in the books. I've read the books multiple times, and I'm still shocked at what they're doing. And it's very interesting to see the changes, the spirit of the characters still come forward. It's already deviated so much that at this point it's its own thing. It's a different universe, and it is what it is. And I'm pumped to see it move forward. We have people like your mom, like we
right
have
watching
friends,
it for the first time. Yeah.
yeah, who like love this, and they're down, they're in. So
I am still just so surprised though just about this really quickly. I am so surprised that there is no explanation why.
yeah, why
I
he
mean,
stays behind?
it's been an incredibly long time
Oh, sure.
that you would think that we would have some sort of explanation as to why he would have left. And I mean, I'm fine. It's fine with whatever, but it's like, dude, he's deleted his Instagram. He's deleted
Yeah,
like
I would say
you
it's
can't even find him. You think
I
mental
would
health issues
right.
just a
I would
lot?
say if they just said to us, "Hey, it's personal," okay, it's personal. It's none of our. It's none of it. Like at the, I know it's hard. It's because very well. I mean, we care about the health and wellness of all the cast and crew, and so it it is what it is. But this may be something that happened
Right.
mid shoot or mid whatever, and they said we got
Right.
to roll with it.
And it is a lot. It is a lot, and it does potentially, if you go into it thinking, "Man, I don't know," like I don't know that it's gonna like take off. Like there's interviews with Chris Evans, Captain
Sure.
America, who's talked about. He's like, "Man, you are so locked in because they want you for like 6 movies."
Sure. Sure.
Yeah,
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a big commitment. They're all traveling super far, going to different countries, having to stay
Rosamund
there for
Pike
a
said she had to
long
move
time.
there.
Right. Well, think about Zoe Robbins. I don't know if she lives in New Zealand or not. I think that's where she's from. But dang, dude, some of that travel is quite a bit. It's a big
Right.
commitment. It's a huge thing, especially when we have
Yeah.
lockdowns and travel restrictions and all sorts of stuff going on. It's still difficult to get around.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting that we haven't gotten any sort of just any sort of reasoning why. So, nonetheless, I mean, how do we I mean, so there's 2 episodes left, right?
yeah,
We still have to meet men who
right.
we know we're gonna meet men.
Valdara.
We still have that sort of ideal flashback dream, something like that.
Hmm.
What are we thinking as for the next 2 episodes?
Yeah, so you're right. We get to Faldara. Just to put this, I think some folks where I saw some comments about like, hey, why are we going to the Eye of the World? Simply, it's to put the dragon next to the Dark One's air quote prison, or near the Dark One himself, so that way we can have a confrontation. That like he's in a weakened state, and Moraine knows it's one of the five she believes, so we're going to put that person in close proximity to the Dark One, and that's their solution. Sounds like a pretty rushed plan. Like they don't have a whole lot to go off of here. They can't get the rest of the haul behind it, and they want to move things forward. Now, when I think back to the Age of Legends and what happened with Luce Theron and the divide between some of his male channelers, the 100 companions, and then what happened with the other Aes Sedai, they disagreed on some stuff on what to do. And right now, it is kind of crazy. You almost kind of from the other Aj's perspectives, you could see why what happens to Suan later happens to her, because once it's found out that hey, you didn't tell anybody about the most important person out there, this whole quest to find the dragon, you kept that secret from all of the other Aes Sedai, and you ran with this on your own. That's going to tick a lot of people off, and you just went ahead and threw him at the Dark One in the Dark One's prison. That's where they're going with this. And so they're setting up a big tower divide, and they did it right in
Yes.
this episode.
Yeah, so I do think we will still see stuff going on at the tower. I think, yeah, man, I don't think that Suwan is gonna get like deposed at like episode 8. But I do think something's gonna happen with Leandrin where we possibly find out she is Dark Friend. AKA maybe not a red Aja, maybe a black Aja. Perhaps there is another
How
Aja.
dare you? How
Well,
dare you?
we'll see. We
Gosh.
could be done with the White Cloaks, by the way. We could be done with the White Cloaks this season.
For now, sure.
For just this season, I do think. Will we see the Green Man? I don't know, actually. And who's going to be that villain in episode 8? We've still been seeing Balsamon in the dreams. So I think this next episode, like as they're traveling, a lot of stuff's going to get revealed. Like a lot of here's kind of what I think's going on with you. Here's what I think's going on with you. Because Moiraine did say there'll be plenty of time to talk as we travel throughout the ways. Now they're also going to have to spend time just making the ways seem dark, mysterious, and scary, right? And so I think we're going to get a little bit of that. We're going to get I think Egwene and Nynaeve are going to have a conversation, right? And then I think because Matt's gone, I think Rand is going to be talking with Rand is going to be talking with Lan, maybe. And remember, he did have the blade. He did pull the blade out. Maybe we get a little bit of like, here's what's going on with that blade. And I believe the IMDb description, right? The description for this next episode was that we would find out who the Dragon Reborn is. Moiraine would reveal who the Dragon Reborn was.
Someone said too that they think Min will be very important to the reveal of the dragon, seeing those symbols. So someone at Fall Dara, I believe we'll see Min there in Fall Dara, will tell Moiraine something. It'd be one of her contacts, or Lord Agelmar will bring her forward as this individual who can interpret signs or read something.
Right. Because remember, they changed stuff. Remember that IMDb had them up and they took them down. But if you look at them, they're the exact same thing, which was Moiraine faces the consequence of her actions. Matt faces the darkness in himself. Egwene faces the most powerful woman in the world. The next episode is The Dark Along the Ways.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we'll figure out, like, and again, it just because that's the description, right? I mean, even if it's like who she believes to be the dragon, still could be wrong. It could be because they said, I mean, right now they're even thinking, okay, it could be Nynaeve, even though her age doesn't fit, but you can't discount that kind of power that we're seeing from her. So, there's that. Now, folks are asking some questions, just by the way, about Fall Dara and the Eye of the World, Shale Ghul, and all of it. And just to clear some of that up, yes, the Eye of the World does move, and it is a great need that will drive our characters there. Moraine's need is greater than even the need at Tarwin's Gap. And so she is... that's what helps her find the Eye of the World and the Green Man and all that kind of stuff. So, super cool to see how that unfolds. And it's going to be, so first it'll be Fall Dara, Min interpreting stuff, Lord Agelmar, all of the stuff at Tarwin's Gap will be important. And they're going to say, I think we're still going to get those lines, which is like, one Aes Sedai in this battle would be huge. That is coming. The Dark One's army is amassing at Tarwin's Gap. And Moraine's going to say, yeah, sorry, we can't go there. I have to go put the Dragon Reborn in front of the Dark One. So it's they're saying that the Eye of the World is his prison. It's not necessarily in the books. It's near there. It's in the Blight, and in the Blight is where Shale Ghul is as well. But they're separate things. So the Green Man is protecting that pure Saidine pool, and the freaking Dragon's Banner, the Horde of Valyr, baby. Like there's some pretty cool stuff up there that we're gonna need. It's high fantasy. Get those magical items, and those are what we'll rally behind in the last battle. The last battle is not going to be at episode 8, baby. We got a long ways to go.
No, we do have a long way to go. So just a quick thing here. So the next 2 episodes, because remember these episodes are directed 2 by 2, and these are the 2 that were directed post when they came back from COVID. So the next episode is directed by Carian Donnelly, who has directed a lot of sort of television, handful of episodes, did a few episodes of Altered Carbon, Krypton, but I would say where we should get really excited is Vikings. It's 15 episodes of Vikings. And
Nice.
so we know that this is supposed to be sort of a big battle. Vikings, great show, definitely has some really, really cool battles in it. So I think you're bringing on somebody for some big epic battle sequences.
Yeah, which is cool. So again, that Tarwin's Gap situation, and then remember at the end of Eye of the World, Rand not only defeats Ashamael and Balsamon, but then will go travel, I believe, or do something with the power over to Tarwin's Gap and win the war there. And this is why Uno, Inktar, all those individuals, they start to, like later on, they're gonna really, but wow, that's Falma, where they're gonna see what he does at Falma. But something happens that they can't explain. They might push that forward. They might start to rally around Rand earlier than we think. Who knows? But the Eye of the World, someone mentioned that the Eye of the World might not be this oasis where the Green Man is protecting this pool. It might just be part of the Blight, and they might merge Sheol and Eye of the World. They might do that. Just in the books, to be clear, they're different. But yeah, it perhaps just to make it easier, they do that. It's a cool name. It's pretty awesome. But two separate things. I just can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what goes down. First of all, like you said, Matt, some major stuff's going to go down. Some storytelling. Remember, there was actually a clip of Tam al'Thor. We saw him like what looked like later on, not the stuff we've seen. I thought maybe they were going to go back and like he shows up later in the season. So I was like, is there more flashbacks to come or something?
There has to be, because we know that there was an Aiel. There's an Aiel thing. Remember, we saw it in the trailers,
fighting and dragon
fighting and stuff like that. And I think that could get explained, because the interesting thing is they've really gone out of their way in every episode to pull us in the direction that everybody is the dragon except Rand. Rand has the least amount of hinting, I would say. Just like, oh, he has his hair and he saw it. It's like, for people who don't know anything about it, it's like Loyal could be the dragon because he has yellow eyes and a wolf pack. Nynaeve could be it because they said she's one of the most powerful. Oh, is Logain as powerful as Nynaeve? And we saw her channel. Egwene, sorry. Nynaeve goes Super Saiyan and blows stuff up. Matt's got the dagger, and Rand thinks he remembers seeing a mountain. Okay, it's like it like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they've gone in every way to make you think. So I think you're going to go into this next episode thinking, wow, now it really could be Matt, and then they'll reveal that it's Rand.
That is Rand. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's right. What they want. They want that big send us off
unless they change it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe they keep it going for a little bit longer. Maybe they do, and we all freak the heck out. But I really think they're going to drop Rand on us right at the end, unless they change it to it split 5 ways. The only 2 options I see right now are the dragon soul being split into 5, or it's Rand al'Thor. I don't think that they would make it anyone else. That's just not going to happen. And really, I think it's going to be Rand. Sorry, when they mentioned that, I thought, all right, it's another false kind of trail just for show watchers only. And I think it's great. I think we always mark these spoiler because we're talking full spoilers here, and we want folks to be. But even us who have read the books, we're watching this going, hey, we don't know. Like, this is why we watch it. Like, we're looking at a new interpretation of this, and Rafe and others have said this is they're not adapting the books necessarily. They're adapting the story overall, the ideas, the themes, and so on.
Yes. Good point. Somebody said that Rand also did blow that door open. He messed that door up. Yes.
Yeah, good. Other folks are mentioning that the Black Wind is something we will see in the ways. Yes. I agree.
Machin Shin.
Yeah.
Machin Shin.
I don't know if I ever say it right or not, but
I know, yeah. I never do either.
Yeah. So, yeah, Halden Kirkwood said another turning of the wheel. This is another. People have talked about this as just another thing. The show is different from the books. The books are complete. They are finished. You can go read them, and they're out there. And this is their own interpretation in 8 seasons, 14 books into maybe 8 seasons. We're trying to get there. We've got 3 approved, and we'll kind of go from there. I don't know. Some of the changes I've really liked. Some of them, they're shocking, and they're showing us they're expanding more of the story. This whole Swan piece is really cool. The piece
Here we
with
go.
the politics is radical. What do you got?
Found it. Of the episode description. Yes. Moiraine, and this is the same one. So now it's back up. But remember, this was the one that we saw weeks ago. Moiraine and her charges are diverted from their path by an unexpected encounter, revealing Moraine's true goal, lands past, and the fractures that have gone in the group and the identity of the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, cool. So that's next episode, you said, right?
Yes. So that could be lands past fighting against the Aiel.
Sure, it could be. Yeah.
Which is what happens in the
New Spring.
The New Spring, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah. He fights against them, all of that stuff. Moiraine and her charges are diverted from their path by an unexpected encounter. That sounds like Machin Shin to me. That seems pretty straightforward. Book readers, we know that sort of happens. Cause I don't think they're going to get split up again. It says revealing Moraine's true goal, which is, hey, I've been searching for the Dragon Reborn because we're trying to get ready for the final battle.
Yeah.
Right. Lands past the fractures that have grown in the group. Now, to me, we might get a little bit here of, remember, think about, there's a lot of stuff that's happened that we're now coming back together and we now sort of know. At this point in the books, we've learned right around this point, as is when we learn of, like, to me, it was almost like I was like, wow, I felt like I didn't see this coming in the books. Remember when we were doing our book thing, I was like, hold on a second, wait, Nynaeve and Lan like is a thing?
Yeah.
Because it does sort of seem like in the books it happens really fast, just sort of comes out of I mean, there's hinting, but it's like boom. So we might get that, which could cause a little more animosity between Moiraine and Nynaeve. Then Egwene and Rand are coupling it longer than they do in the books. That lasts about like the first 10 chapters, and then that's like pretty much gone. And then Egwene now knows about what happened to Perrin, where nobody else does. And Matt's gone. So Egwene's probably like, what happened to Matt? What's going on there?
Right. Yeah. So some sharing of stories and really a big catch up as they're traveling through the ways, and it's spooky, it's scary. Yeah. Will they be followed by Pod on Fane? Is Machin Shin gonna get them? A great comment up here earlier about maybe they're going to the Blight, like that's where they're trying to get to.
Right.
Loyal had that map. We saw the leaked photo of him holding the map, but we didn't see it in the episode. But Loyal's holding the map, and Lan and Moiraine are looking at it. That was cut from this episode. But it's like either diverted to Faldara, and it's the builder, Loyal, who can help guide us through the ways and might say, hey, we got to divert this way and whatever. But along the way, they're going to be telling those stories and doing the backstory, the catch up, like you're saying, I think.
Right. And keep in mind, the whole episode, by the way, it's going to be another hour-long episode. So the whole episode is not going to be in the ways. I think we're really only going to be in the ways for like 20 minutes at most. And then it's going to be getting us up. And then the episode's going to need to end with some sort of like, get us pumped for the final episode. So some action, maybe we see Trollocs charge in or something along those lines to really sort of build up the suspense and hype for the for the final episode.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. We have to build up towards either the Trollocs marching through Tarwin's Gap or something. Someone channels, or maybe it's Min reveals who the Dragon Reborn is. All that kind of stuff will be really cool. I did like this comment here about Nynaeve, though. We actually slip away from the Suan Egwene Nynaeve conversation. It's just left hanging. So I think we will get them talking about this in the ways as to why Nynaeve agrees to go along with whether that be the tower or just the tower's plans. How is it that Suan convinced her that this was necessary? Because it kind of feels like they told the two girls something that they won't tell the boys. And so they're maybe in on this plot or this idea with Moiraine. Because even in the description that you read, you said Moiraine is going to reveal what her true intentions are and all that kind of stuff. Buddy, she's been
Right.
saying the whole time, though, that she just said to them in this episode, she revealed to them that, hey, I'm looking for the dragon. One of you is the dragon. She said that the whole time. So, like, what else besides? Is she just going to, why? I don't know. Why put that in the description if she's just going to repeat that same thing in the ways? I feel like there's something else. And that whole piece with Nynaeve and Egwene and Suan talking, there's some other things that maybe haven't been revealed yet, which I think would be really cool. So,
yeah. And then, so, okay. So here's a question. So how do we think that she's going to figure out how is it going to be explained that it's Rand? If it doesn't go down some weird fracture route, and it does obviously go, I'm assuming the same way as the books, how is it going to be explained? What has she seen enough of to know that it's Rand?
well, so in the book, again, it's the fact that they just go to the eye of the world, and things happen between. It's some of the stuff that Rand does, or it's just the fact that he channels. Really, is that he is the male channeler kind of among them. The problem is that if Matt's not there, she can't see that he can't channel, or that Perrin's got something else going on. I think it's got to be that he channels in some epic way. Right now, why the reason that Nynaeve is the leading candidate is because she's channeled to such a degree that no one has ever seen before. I actually think in this next episode, Egwene is going to channel, and it's going to be a big deal. So
Could be. Good point. Again, they have been hinting at the hair, and so maybe if we do get some of this Aiel flashback, that's where they ultimately think it was from, and we'll get just a little bit more of that. The other one is in the books, Moiraine, we will come to find when once the dragon starts doing things, some of this debate becomes, well, should we save the dragon for the final battle? Do we want to protect him to make sure he gets there? Well, Moiraine is kind of the opinion that no, the dragon will, if he is the dragon, he will be there. So it's kind of free will. You can do whatever you want because I know that the dragon will be there for the final battle. So I think she could almost exclude Matt because Matt's doing his own thing. And you could say, well, the real dragon wouldn't do that.
yeah,
is one way of doing it.
Yeah, he's eliminated because
Then you could almost say that Perrin, maybe she'll explain more about the yellow eyes and the wolf pack, and she'll say, I can eliminate him, even though she seems so like, I don't know who the dragon is or what's going on, but something had happened. I would actually, to me, the thing that would cause me to believe that he was the dragon, honest to God, is the moment when he goes off on her in episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, where are we going? What are we doing? Like that.
Yeah. If we see more of that, right?
Right. That is the dragon.
Right.
That is the dragon. That is like the mannerism, that is everything that the dragon is supposed to do. That sort of, because she seems, when it happens, if you go watch it in episode 2, she seems taken aback for a second.
Right. Yeah, she does for sure. Someone mentioned, so Rand was reading from the Griathon cycle, the prophecies of the dragon, and I think this is kind of cool. He was reading from that. Maybe more of it will be revealed by men or be listed off in the ways. But twice and twice shall he be marked, twice to live and twice to die. Once the heron to set his path, twice the heron to name him true. Once the dragon for remembrance lost, twice the dragon for the price he must pay. 5 ride forth and 4 return. Above the watchers over the waves shall he proclaim himself, bannered across the sky in fire. So like it could just be that he's there. Maybe there is a bit of heron marking that happens. There's a lot of different things. I think you look to the prophecy sometimes and say, if it's read out loud and then Rand has a heron mark, burned in because of the blade or who knows what, and he tries to hide it, and we see that it builds that dramatic kind of irony. Like, we saw one of the prophecies fulfilled. Moiraine doesn't see it. We're with Rand, like, yeah, hide that. so she doesn't see it. I mean, they can change things up a bit. They've already done that quite a bit here in the show. So, I mean, Yeah, man. I don't know.
It's gonna be interesting. I'm super excited to see like just where this all goes and how what's gonna happen next episode and how it's gonna and what we're gonna see. It's just because it's so interesting because like we're on pace with Eye of the World. But at the same time, it's like so much of the rest of it is like fractured, splintered, way out there that they do just keep us guessing. So they are doing a great job in keeping the hype up.
Right.
But at the same time, keeping us on our toes.
Right. Yeah. It's all in the execution here as to how they reveal it and how they weave in some of the prophecy. Moiraine, like you said, Rand kind of pushing back on what she says.
This could happen too. And this is a good point. Sauce Man here. I bet there's a dream sequence in episode 7 when they're in the ways taking a break. Rand sees the Dark One and wakes up with a brand. Also, yeah, we haven't seen Balsamon, right? Or the Dark One as they're right. The man in the dreams. We haven't seen him in like 2 episodes, I believe.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, who plays him, right? I mean, who's going to be that person stepping up to
Steve, the guy who plays Steve.
Lord,
where's he been?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. People have been, the whole chat, I've been seeing people like Steve ? Where is he at? So I don't know. Yeah. All right, guys. Here in just a little bit, we're gonna have our patron, our buddy Ryan pop in here on the show. We're gonna have him in here, get his thoughts going because we have much more to discuss. But it's crazy, man. I mean, I am impressed with this episode. My thoughts on it are it showed us more than what we've seen in the books. It does change things a bit, but the spirit of it is still there. The Moiraine and Siuan stuff is epic and awesome. I love it. Right now, I'm loving it, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up here and see if there's anybody who we know has been cast that we haven't seen yet. Because that would definitely be interesting to say the least, because then we can sort of look at and say, okay, like wait, what's going on here? Who haven't we seen? Logain, Stepan, Ivan, Ilya. We have not seen Ilyana. Or Luce Theron. Will we we know there has been a Luce Theron cast, but I think that's going to be season 2. But you and I have talked about this as well, as I think it's possible we could get a dream or something.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna get some context, some backstory. I still think we're gonna see Tam. If we see Luce Theron, or if we hear about him, or if Rand hears someone speaking to him, if he reveals that, I don't know. That would be crazy. I think he's just gonna.
That was Basil Gill, by the way.
Oh, was it? Cool.
Yes, that's one of the things they do is like you may see somebody for like one line or something, and you're giving them an official sort of title.
Right. Yeah, this was interesting. So Siuan never got to see Rand as ta'veren, not yet anyway, right? We're not really sure. That is interesting. She does see. So there is a big question out there, and Matt and I will talk. We can talk to Ryan about this when he comes on later after we end our first episode here. There is a question as to is Egwene ta'veren, and the show is saying that she is, or it's rumored that she is, and Siuan just saw her. Now, will we find out later in another couple episodes or next season? Did she see the talent in her? She has that ability to see whether or not an individual is ta'veren. So
too many changes. Hey, again, some people, I gotta say though, man, I'm a book person, but I'm enjoying
entertaining.
It. It's very entertaining. I'm down with where we're going. It's funny, as you and I were talking before we press record really today, and we were talking about sort of book to show adaptations or to movie adaptations and stuff like that. And I think sometimes we begin to sort of, it's like every book adaptation cannot be measured against Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and Harry Potter. Like all of those things are such anomalies in the world of like book to show adaptations. Like Lord of the Rings is like the most successful book movie adaptation ever. I would say even more than Harry Potter. I mean, they won like 13 Oscars each. I mean, I think Return of the King has the most Oscars ever won for any movie, or it's certainly tied with like Titanic for ever. So you could legitimately make an argument that Return of the King is the single greatest movie ever made. You can't measure everything against that. And there's tons of stuff that they had to leave out, and those are 4 hours with the extended cuts. Right. I mean, Tom Bombadil isn't in it.
Yeah.
I don't, I mean,
that's like a whole several chapters, buddy. That's like 2 to 3, 4 chapters that they've left out in that. So yeah, good points. And also, Sort of Cinderella on here said that she sobbed. She DM'd Rafe and told him that he was a monster. If he ever gets back to you, please let me know, because I've been trying to DM Rafe too.
That'd be great.
I want him on the freaking show.
And Game of Thrones is the most successful television show in ever. No television show has won more awards than Game of Thrones.
Right.
And it's the only show that I can think of that like continued to climb in ratings. I mean, no show. Right. I mean, you would be hard pressed to find a show. Most shows do this, like they go up and they go down. I mean, it's hard. I mean, hard to find something that did better in the ratings than Game of Thrones. I mean, for every, book to show adaptation, go look at Beautiful Creatures, right?
Sure.
That was cool. I didn't read the book, but I watched the movie. You read the book. I watched the movie. I thought it was cool. It never got a sequel.
Right. I know.
Even Jurassic Park, man. I mean, Jurassic Park's great, but the second 2 movies, they kind of suck. Not gonna lie.
Right. Yeah. No, overall, I think it's great. I think they're doing a great job. I really do feel the spirit of the show. Honest to God, I think they've actually shown us scenes that we didn't get in the books, and that's been cool to me. Whether they've got different notes from the author or whatever, it's been good, and I've been happy to kind of watch the additional bits and then see the changes that need to be made. Here's the telling factor: it is being streamed a lot. If you hate it, people like Sort of Cinderella and other individuals, they're still watching it. We're at episode 6, and they're still watching it, and they're going to, because it is still Wheel of Time, and it is hard. And by the way, I'm not trying to be critical of anyone who's really upset right now. I think over time, people are going to come to accept. It just takes time. It's abrupt. If you've been reading the series for a long time and you really don't like it, honestly, and you have to switch off, that's cool. Just go read the books, and when it's out, maybe you go binge it or something later on. Just if you want to.
IMDb is saying, by the way, remember the cast that they just announced?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Is saying that they are cast in the next 2 episodes.
Who?
Which would be Lady Amalicia, Uno, Ingtar.
Are they?
That we will see them in the next 2 episodes.
That's awesome. That is really cool. I hope that's the case, because we're going to Faldara. I don't know why it would be kind of weird and inconsistent if we didn't already have those individuals there. So maybe they're just there for like one line, but then they're a big role in season 2. So yeah, I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, but I'm loving the show, man. I am absolutely just loving the show, keeping me on my toes.
Yeah, or on your knees. I don't know which one.
Right. And again, this is only season 1. I've said this before, is that for me, it's like I'll always give any show until the end of season 2. You have until the end of season 2 to get me in, right? And I guess I would also just ask people, what would you cut out? What would you change? How would you move stuff around in order to make it work in roughly 8 episodes, 8 seasons?
Matt, they wouldn't cut a daggone thing, buddy. Let me tell you right now.
Then your scenes are going to be about like 30 seconds long. I mean,
hey, don't you even think about it. This should be a page by page adaptation. No,
right. There was I was watching the Dusty Wheel yesterday, and he was talking about I guess a recent interview with Rafe, where he said, my goal is he's like, I cannot do a page by page adaptation. My goal is to capture the spirit of Wheel of Time. I have to do an adaptation of the Wheel of Time. I cannot do, a page by page thing. It's just, it wouldn't, it wouldn't work. So I mean, he's true in that. It's an adaptation.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, and and we absolutely. I'm so far loving the adaptation, and I think it's great. We'll go back and talk about some specifics here in a second, but I think Matt, what we'll do, just kind of wrap up this episode. We've got Ryan on standby right here, ready to pop into our second episode, which will be coming up here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just finishing up with part 1 here. Thank you guys, everyone who's been hanging out, listening over here, because this is recording this. I know we're all hanging out here live on YouTube, but recording this for the podcast. So stay tuned, because we have part 2 of this coming here. And well, we're doing it live as so here